Sacrsil, Sacleji, Sakushi, Sakushi. Latizervezat. Hi everyone, wherever you are watching this video, and also we're going to be doing our last session on Zapotec pronunciation. Today is the last, well, this is the last lesson for chapter 4. I call it lesson 4, rather, lección tap. So as we previously talked about some of the rules for using hyphens in our orthography, right? So now what we're going to do is that we're going to be looking at two different consonants, or what they call lenis fortis consonant pairs. And again, I think that the best way that I can help you guys learn Zapotec is by me saying the words and then you trying to pronounce them just the way I do. And as usual, I'm gonna be sharing my screen with you guys so you can follow along. All right, guys, so here we go. So this is 4.3, lenis and fortis consonants. You can see here, so it's on page, just in case that you have your book, 43. Let's see, so there are these two, this is contrast pair that we find in a lot of Valley Zapotec and almost all other Zapotec language, and they are divided into two groups. They are called lenis and fortis. And then on this, we have on this table, on the first row, we have lenis and then fortis. And then we have these two pairs, right? The B and the P and D and the T. So as it is explained right here, lenis means something like relax or loose, right? While fortis means something like tense, tight, or forceful. So I guess the best way for you or for me to show them is by saying them. And one thing that I learned when I was learning English, also that in English we have these lenis and fortis, and by pronouncing them, there is this expulsion for the fortis, expulsion of air out of your mouth. So one of the things that we used to be asked to tell the difference, like the B and the P, is to hold a paper, a sheet of paper in front of you. So the P, you can see the sheet of paper actually moving, and with the B, you know, the hardly moves because there is a lot of air coming out of your mouth. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it's one way to tell that you are pronouncing them correctly. So so as you can see, the lenis we have on the first row, as I said, is the B, D, G, Z, Z, H, and R. And then the fortis we have the P, T, Q, S, X, and double R, okay? And then again, we have the next contrast of pairs in terms of the ZH and X and the X colon, actually ZH colon. Remember that we talked about the ZH colon when you pronounce it, and also the X, you hear this kind of whistling sound to tell that you are pronouncing those, especially the lenis, right? Like right. And then we have the fortis, we have two M's, two N's, and G. But remember, these are just the sounds, so we don't actually write them when we are writing Zapotec. And lastly, we have the 6 remaining Valley Zapotec consonants. They come into pairs. So we did talk about the W and the Y, that they're like this soft U's or I's, if you will. So they're loose, right? And then we have these other 4, which are the fortis, but they don't have the counterpart right here, the lenis. So as I said, probably the best way for you guys to hear the difference is by me saying them. So let's start right here with this at the bottom of page 43 with gets itchy, rbab, rbab. Okay, and then so we are actually listen up at the end of the word. So it's the B, the lenis, and then we have the fortis, right? So one more time, so you can hear the this contrast Rbab, tap, tap. Okay. And then we have, again, we have the PY and the PY. So, and then here's the pronunciation. So, baby, baby. And tells, repi. So one more time, I'm going to start from the top, going down, so you can hear the contrast on this consonant. So, rbab, tap. One more time, rbab, tap. The next pair, repi, repi, repi. All right, so we have here, one thing that to notice is that they are written, I mean, the ending is the same, right? But the difference, the length that I pronounce the end. So again, pay attention to the endings on the, I mean, the sound of the end. So it's ban, ren, ban, ren. As if you guys can hear, the end is a little bit longer for me to finish that word. So, and again, here we have ly and then two l's, lly, right? So again, I hope that you guys can hear the differences in these two, but don't worry about it. You know, with time and listening over and over these sounds, you'll be able to distinguish or hear them. So if you can't really tell the difference right now, don't worry, you know, we'll come back to it over and over. So hopefully that you'll begin to distinguish between those two sounds. So again, for tequila, tequil, kilo, kill, tequil, kill. All right, so you might hear something about the difference between the sound of the vowels, but actually it is the consonants that's the different types of vowel, what makes these two sound a little bit different. As you can see, it's an I check and I check on both of them. Okay, so let's continue with the next pair. Again, there's the 1L, 2L at the end of a word here. So century plant, we say it biol. One more time, biol. And Yola, it's a girl's name. Yol, biol, yol. If you hear that it's for yol, it seems to be something extra in that L, so that it is the long L sound. And one more pair again, right here we have, that's a plain vowel, and plain vowels, right? So the same with the next word. So listen, so we're just listening the contrast between the consonants right now. So I hope you can, again, that you can hear the difference. I know it's hard. So Bangor, Sagur, Bangor, Sagur. One more time. Bangor, Sagur. Okay, let's continue. So just keep practicing, and I hope that, you know, with time you'll be able to really distinguish those two sounds. And now we are done with these sounds and the vowels and consonants. So now we're going to be looking a little bit about the borrowing from Spanish into Zapotec, because we talked about this earlier, that I said that there are a lot of words that are being borrowed into Spanish word borrowed into Zapotec, right? But don't think that because it looks like Spanish, it is pronounced just like Spanish. And sometimes it's really hard to recognize these Spanish words that are borrowed into Zapotec, because some of them have been borrowed into Zapotec for hundreds of years, right? From very first time since there was contact with them. So it's even for me, sometimes it's really hard to see that it's derived or it's borrowed, it's a Spanish borrowed word. So there are some others that they've been borrow recently, you know, with migration and also with as more people migrate to the cities and to the US, go back and they borrow different concepts, different words. So what we've tried to do for this book is that we wanted to incorporate those words because I talked about Zapotec and any language, right? That they're alive, and you know there is constant this flexibility of borrowing other languages into the that language that you speak. In this case, Zapotec. So again, I think that if you can read the background, and for me to help you best is for me just to go over the words so you can hear how it is pronounced. So let's just, I'm going to go over the words, so please read the background and the other information that's on the book, because otherwise we won't get through all of this material. So here we go. Fácil, tenis, hikem, once, almost like Spanish, right? Útale. Again, from top, bottom. Fácil. Tenis. Hikem. Once. Útale. Okay, so as you guys can see, you know, you can probably, for those of you who speak or know Spanish, you can identify where they come from, but they're not really pronounced like Spanish. So let's continue and then with other pronunciations. So we have some, let's see, here we go. So on at top of page 47, again, I'm going to be just focusing pronouncing the Zapotec words. And as I said, you know, this last part, we're just looking at the how Zapotec has borrowed Spanish, and also the pronunciation changes with time and depending when we borrow those words. So here we go. So hook, run, cachuch, babes, master. Master, this is only, it comes from maestro, but it's only used for master bricklayer. So we have another word for teacher, right? Which in Spanish is also maestro. So, and also we have borrow the last names, and we turn them into Zapotec names, if you will. So such as Loib comes from Lopez. Again, Loib. All right, so there are some other last names and names that we have here that also they're borrowed from Spanish. Rnain, Rnain. For Pedro, ved, ved. And this is the word I mentioned, or you know, a few minutes ago, a few seconds ago, whenever it was, for the word for teacher, mess, mess. Okay, please keep referring to your pronunciation guide, band or band member, muisk, muisk, muisk. It also we use that also for music, but in this case it's like band member, or even music. Okay, and we continue. So we have here from fácil, as you can see here, and we actually have the Spanish words here, and then we have the Zapotec words. So fácil, again, Macam, tenis. Remember the difference between the S and the Z's, please. Hikem, once, útale. All right. So what I'm going to do now, we have a pattern summary here, which I'm going to go over for you guys to listen and to practice. So here we go. Rick. And remember the tone, pronunciation. And if you want to go back to the section, it's right here. So this is a summary of what we've seen so far, or actually part of it. So let's see, Rick. We, and again, please, if you can, repeat the words as I go along. Badia, bi, regin, gish, change, nan, ji, kagish, dish, da, mniin, garzi, a, bal, bashat, ba, ya. Okay, I'm gonna go over them one more time so you can hear it again, and this time I'll say it twice, and then hopefully you guys are practicing along. And then I think there is one more summary that we're going to go over, and that should do it for this lesson. So Rick, we, Badia, ji, bi, again, it's creaky, right? Creaky, and then the plain vowel. Ish, change, that pointing effect that I talked about. Nan. All right, so we have the following tones here. Ji, galgish, dish, da, ni'in, garzi, a, bal, bashat, ba, ya. All right, so I hope that you come back to this summary chart and then continue practicing. And actually, for those some of my students, that you'll be getting a homework based on this one. So check your emails. And then we're going to start talking about writing Zapotec sentences. So as we talked about, every language has rules, and then we work on some of the rules that we have in writing Zapotec. So one of the first things that you need to know is that when you write proper nouns, just like Spanish or English, we use a capital letter. So as you can notice here, beginning of a sentence, we use capital letters, and punctuation marks is the same as in English writing. So that's the rule that we're going to be following with Zapotec, okay? So just think about the way in which you write sentences in English is the same way that you are going to be writing Zapotec. And then, for example, something that they don't do in Spanish, right? It's like if you're talking about the Zapotec language, they don't capitalize it. But yet, as I just mentioned, that we follow English rules. So yes, if you're writing about Zapotec language, you need to capitalize that. So just be aware of that. Again, some of the rules. Okay, and then as you can notice here in the question marks, we continue the English rule just to remind you that for those who's speak Spanish or write in Spanish. I know that the rules in Spanish are different. So as I said, for the time being, just forget about the rules in Spanish and stick to the English rules, because in Spanish you have to open with a question mark and end with a question mark, right? But in Zapotec, we don't do that. So we just have put the question mark at the end. At the same, just the same with the exclamation marks in Spanish. They use the opening exclamation mark and the closing, but in Zapotec, we just have the closing exclamation mark. So, and then hopefully, as you guys just start becoming aware of the rules, that you'll be able to write like basic sentences. So like here, it's a sentence, he's stupid, tonang, right? So capital letter, period, a question mark, tonang, eh? Is he stupid? Or, exclamation mark. Shiban tonang is so stupid. So following those rules here. So I think that should do it for now. So please, as I said, read some of the information that we have in these lessons, because what I've tried to do is mostly go over the words, the sounds, and pronounce them so you can hear them. You can try to learn the way I say these words, but I've gone some of the information with you, but it's not everything. It is your responsibility to read some of the background as well. So I hope that you are keeping up with the reading, and until next time, all right. Ijahan.